evening, everyone. My name's Belinda. I'm reading from the Bible. We are in Proverbs. If you do have one of the visitors' Bibles, we're on page 579. Barrow has them for you. Otherwise, find a device, sit back, whatever it is that you like to do. We're in Proverbs chapter 26, and I'm starting from verse 17, and I'll finish in verse 22. And verse 22, just a heads up, it doesn't make sense to me, and so I don't know how to read it well. So forgive me in advance. A person who is passing by and meddles in a quarrel that is not his is like one who grabs a dog by the ears. Like a madman who throws flaming darts and deadly arrows, so is the person who deceives his neighbour and says, I was only joking. Without wood, fire goes out. Without a gossip, conflict dies down. As charcoal for embers and wood for fire, so is a quarrelsome person for kindling strife. A gossip's words are like choice food that goes down to one's innermost being.
Thanks, Belinda. Hi, everyone. It's great to see you tonight as we come to learn some wisdom, hopefully, from the book of Proverbs. And this is the third in our series as we look at the four faces of folly. We looked at the fool, we looked at the slacker last week. And tonight we're looking at, well, let's see who we're looking at. Who am I? I have no respect for justice. I maim without killing. I break hearts and ruin lives. I flourish at every level of society. My victims are helpless. Once I tarnish a reputation, it's never the same. I topple governments and ruin marriages. I destroy careers and cause heartache and sleepless nights. I wreck churches and separate Christians. I spawn suspicion and generate grief and make innocent people cry on their pillows. Even my name hisses. I am gossip. Do you hear the hiss in the word gossip? That's what we're looking at tonight, gossip. There's more in our little reading, even though it was only 5 verses, about some of the relatives of gossip, like meddling and quarrelling and that kind of thing. But we're going to focus in on gossip. And I think most of us here would agree that gossip is a bad thing. And the book of Proverbs warns us to be very wary of those who gossip and of not ourselves becoming a gossip. A gossip is someone who gossips. But I wonder if we realise just how much damage gossiping can do. I think for us it could be one of those sins that we might call respectable sins. You know, the things that we all do and therefore we don't worry too much about it because we all do it and we might not think it matters that much. But my aim tonight is to try and take you on a journey that I myself have been on over the last week or so as I've been preparing this talk. Because the more I've thought about gossip and the more I've looked at the Proverbs and how to live wisely and not be fools, the more important that I've seen that this is. We're going to look at it tonight under these 4 headings. What is gossip? The damage gossip does. Why then do we do it if it's so damaging? And what can we do in response? So first, what is gossip? I've got a definition for you to make sure we know what it is that we're talking about. And the definition is talking about people behind their backs to other people who don't need to know. Let's take it line by line. Firstly, it's talking about other people. It's not talking to other people directly, that's not gossip. It's talking about other people to others. And of course, talking, we don't want to define that too narrowly. It might be verbally over the back fence kind of gossiping, or in a cafe or wherever you might talk, but it might also be, on social media. You might be gossiping. Or it can even be through our body language. If you mention a name to me and I roll my eyes and go, oh yeah, that person, that communicates something, doesn't it? About what I think about that person. And you go, oh boy, I better watch out for that person. So it's talking about people. And notice the footnote there. I don't know how many self-made definitions on screens in church have footnotes, but this one does. This talking about them is usually talking about, it's in a negative way. It's not saying something good about another person. It's talking about their sin, something they've done wrong, or their shame, something that makes them look stupid, or perhaps something private to them, something that you've got privileged information about, and it's really a private matter for them, but you kind of share it with other people because you happen to know about it. You know, I say, James here, he did something last week. Boy, that was stupid, wasn't it? What a fool he is. That's gossip when I tell you about what he has done. But if I say, wow, you know, James is such a good bloke and he does all these wonderful things. Look at the way he serves us so well here at Saturday Church, and I'm talking him up. And I tell of some things that he's done and as examples of that. I don't think that's gossip, because that's a good thing. But it might be something private to him. If I say, you know, James has got this terrible disease, I know about it because I'm his boss and he told me, and then I announce it here, that's not going to be helpful, is it? It's something private. Or if someone tells me that they're expecting a baby, and this happened to me last week, and I'm tempted to come and tell you all because it's such good news. But just because it's good news doesn't mean that it's my news to tell, does it? Because I might be stealing the joy of them in telling you themselves. Just because I know about something doesn't mean that I should tell other people what they know. Gossip is talking about people, usually about their sin or shame or something private to them. But it's also, the second line, behind their backs. And that can sound a little bit like pejorative, that this is a really mean and nasty thing. But I've used those words on purpose because I think that it is a wrong thing. What I mean is that the other person hasn't given you permission to share the information that you're sharing. And usually it's probably because they're not present to be able to defend themselves by the story that you've told, to correct what you've said or to explain it further. Earlier in the Proverbs, actually, gossip is closely linked with secrets. Secrets. Here's a line. A gossip goes around revealing a secret, but a trustworthy person keeps a confidence. They don't tell what they know. And interestingly, the word gossip here and through the whole book of Proverbs, in some translations, is translated a whisperer. And that's not a bad translation, is it? Because that's what we do when we gossip. We kind of know when we're doing it. And we kind of say, I know something about James, and I might say, hey, listen, I want to tell you something about James, but don't tell anybody else. And it's a secret that I am revealing to you, whispering to you. And but it's important to know, thirdly, that it's only gossip if it's to people who don't need to know. And so if they do need to know, then it's actually not gossip. But often it's just none of the business of the person that you're talking to when we tell them something. Sometimes we do need to speak. For example, if you're calling the police to report a crime, such and such is breaking into my house and they've done this terrible thing, yeah, it's right to tell the police who it is and what they have done. Or if I see a counsellor, it's a right and proper context for me to then say all the things that this person has been doing to me that's been making me feel so bad. Or I might really need to warn someone of they're about to entrust themselves to someone that I know something about. With a lot of wisdom and care, it might be right for me to warn them, and it might not be right for me not to warn them. So gossip is talking about people behind their backs to other people who don't need to know. So why is this such a bad thing? Let's think about the damage that gossip does. It matters because it does incredible damage to people and relationships. If you've hurt someone with your gossip and it's kind of, you've been convicted of that and you've realised the damage you've done, you'll know what I'm talking about. Or if you've been gossiped about and you felt the pain of someone being untrustworthy and betraying you by passing on your secret or the thing you did, your shameful thing, to someone else, you'll know how painful it is. But I started the talk in the way I did with that who am I thing and the list of all of the damage that gossip might do, because I really want us to feel the weight of this. Because I think we probably often just let it wash over us and say, oh, it's just a bit of goss, don't worry about it. But let me show it to you from the Bible. 5 things that gossip does. First, it fuels conflict. Here's a verse from Proverbs chapter 26, one of the ones we read tonight. Without wood, fire goes out. To keep a fire going, you need wood to fuel it. Without gossip, conflict dies down. Conflict between 2 people, if one person starts telling everybody else, wow, that kind of really fuels the fire, doesn't it? Or if other people start talking and then all of a sudden you've got 2 groups falling out with each other. Gossip really fuels conflict. And the conflict gets deeper as it spreads to more and more people. Second thing, it impacts people deeply. And this one is especially for Belinda. Verse 22. A gossip's words are like choice food, not because you've got a particular problem with gossip. Just for the record, those who are watching online, it's because of what Belinda said in the Bible reading that she wasn't sure what to do with this verse. A gossip's words are like choice food, or some translations, tasty morsels that go down to one's innermost being. We'll come back to the choice food soon, but notice that gossip goes down to one's innermost being. It impacts people deeply. If I say to you, and if I tell you some juicy gossip about James, sorry James to pick on you, but I know you know that you're safe here, that it's all hypothetical. If I paint him in a bad light, then that actually becomes part of you, doesn't it? It's almost impossible for you then to think about James without that knowledge shaping how you think about him. Your level of respect for him has taken a notch down, and you're going to relate differently to him than you otherwise would. But it's not just James who'll be impacted. Sadly, gossip actually separates friends. It might separate the person you're talking to from James, or you from the person. Let me give you an example. Here's a little... here's the verse, Proverbs 17 verse 9. Whoever conceals an offence promotes love. Whoever doesn't pass on what somebody else did but keeps it quiet promotes love. But whoever gossips about it separates friends. How sad when friendship is ruined because one person gossiped to someone. It's a betrayal of trust, isn't it? It's a betrayal. And it can happen in friendships, it can happen in workplaces, it can happen in the schoolyard when friends are hanging around and talking about, well, you know what this other person, you know who this person likes and what they did, and it happens. It can happen in marriage when one spouse starts speaking to their friends about their spouse at home and all the stupid things that he or she does. And so now all of these friends know his secrets. That can be very damaging. Gossips separate friends. And it destroys community. I've got a little community here for you. Mr. Purple, Mr. Green and Mr. Blue. Just imagine that Purple speaks to Green about Blue, gossips to him or her. Now, all of a sudden, things are mucked up in this beautiful community because suddenly Green and Blue their relationship is messed up. Because suddenly Green is thinking bad things about Blue because of what they've heard from Purple. And there's also an awkwardness there, isn't there? Next time Green and Blue speak, Green knows something secret about Blue. And Blue doesn't know if Green knows his secret. And then Green doesn't know if Blue knows that he knows or is supposed to know. Have you been in that situation where you know something about someone and then you don't know whether they know, and it gets very messy, doesn't it? But also, Purple and Blue's relationship is mucked up because Purple has spoken behind Blue's back. purple has done damage to blue. If that's happened to you, you'll know how that feels. It's hard for blue to trust purple again. And even the relationship between green and purple is messed up, because green knows that purple is a gossip. Do you think green's going to trust purple with their private things? If you know that someone gossips about others, there's one thing you can be assured of, that they're probably going to gossip about you. And so all these relationships are messed up. And that's if it's only between three of them. If purple starts telling other people, you can see how complicated it's going to get. Or if green starts telling other people, and if the story starts to spread out, so instead of the small thing that blue did, suddenly it grows and grows and grows, and all of a sudden there's a massive split in the community because of this one bit of gossip between purple and green about blue. Gossip divides communities. It's like a cancer in a community. As a church, we are a community, in fact, especially because we trust each other a lot. We share with each other things that are private to us. And if we are gossiping, then conflict and division is fueled by this evil thing. Someone simply sitting down, having a cup of coffee, purple and green, saying, "Do you know this thing that happened? This thing that James did," or whatever. Last thing is, it's not just that it does a lot of damage in this level, but it also damages our relationship with God. Gossip is not only unwise, it's also wrong before God. And he's angry with it. Here's a verse from the New Testament, Romans chapter 1. The Apostle Paul is saying, when we resist God, when we turn away from him, he hands us over to do a whole lot of things that are wrong. And they include envy, murder, quarrels, deceit, malice, gossip. Gossips we become, slanderers, God-haters, arrogant, proud, boastful, inventors of evil. Notice that gossips is in there with murderers. You see that? Gossip is a sin. And it is damaging to each other and in relationship with God. It's not just a bit of harmless fun to be a gossip. Or it's not just the way we relate. It can kill churches. It can ruin marriages. It can destroy friendships. So if it's so damaging, and I hope you're getting I really wanted to emphasise this tonight. It's damaging. But if so, why is it then do we do it, if this is true? Why do we do damaging things? Well, I think like with all sin, there are three powerful forces that lead us to do it: the world, the flesh, and the devil. The world around us encourages us to gossip because it's so common. Everyone does it. It's the air we breathe. The media is full of gossip. Social media is full of gossip. From the schoolyard, we learn gossip as people tell tales about each other. It's so much part of our culture. In fact, it's so much part of our culture that sometimes we can't imagine how we could ever sit down and have a conversation with other people without gossiping, because we love to talk about other people. And you know how it goes, doesn't it? Someone tells a story about someone else, and then someone else tells a bigger and better story about their friend or about the same person. And just goes, and the whole conversation becomes gossip. And then the second thing is the flesh. And by the flesh, we're talking about our sinful nature. Jesus says that the words we speak are the overflow of our hearts. And what is deep in our hearts? Well, in our hearts, we crave gossip. Here's Belinda's verse again. A gossip's words are like choice food that goes down to one's innermost being. The thing about choice food is that we want to eat it, isn't it? If you put before me a nice piece of pork crackling tonight when I get home, even though it might not be good for me, even though I want to eat it, I'm craving it. I don't want to just leave it there on the plate. And so it is with gossip. Stories about people, especially ones that make them look bad or bring me some private information. I love to hear those stories. They're very hard to resist because, knowledge is power, isn't it? Knowledge is power, and it makes us feel good to know something about someone that other people don't know, or to share something about someone that others don't know. That makes us feel important, doesn't it? I'm in the know, and I'm going to share that with you. Or maybe we can, especially if we're painting someone else in a bad light, it can make us feel a bit superior. That person's an idiot, that person's a bad person, look at the things they do, but I'm just looking down at them. And we justify ourselves at the expense of others. And because other people crave gossip like we do, then when we're telling a secret, we command their attention. And that makes us feel good because people want to hang off our every word about what we want to say. And we feel like we belong and we're accepted. This is the sinful nature coming out in the way that we speak about others. Sometimes the motives can be particularly bad with gossip. Sometimes when we tell others something about someone else, we're actually doing it to pay them back for something they did to us. We might not hit them, that'd be a bit crass, wouldn't it? But we can lash them with our tongue, privately, secretly. That's what gossip does. It can be quite evil. But sometimes we can feel like we're actually doing something good because, we care about this person and we want other people to care about them. And because we care about them, we want to know about them so that others can help them in their trouble. And so under the cloak of compassion, we share with other people what's happening for someone else. This person has got this terrible disease. I found out about it and now I'm telling you so you can pray for them. It's not your business to tell, is it? Unless it's, of course, you need wisdom. It might be something that's already very public. But if it's not, then leave it to the other person to decide who they want to tell, or seek their permission before you go blabbing around what their problem is. We need to be really careful here because the human heart loves gossip. We crave the choice food that goes down to the innermost being. But lastly, there's the devil as well. In James chapter 3, it speaks more broadly about sins involving the tongue, and it says the tongue is a fire. The tongue is a world of unrighteousness. It's placed among our members. It stains the whole body. It sets the course of life on fire and is itself set on fire by hell. It's hard to control the tongue, isn't it? And it can do so much damage. It is a restless evil full of deadly poison. Notice what it says there. It's itself set on fire by hell. The devil loves to get us to gossip because he loves to damage relationships. He loves to split churches and break up marriages and ruin friendships. This is what he loves to do. He loves to divide communities and cause people to sin. And he loves it, especially in churches. He loves it in churches. Don't give the devil a foothold in our church through our gossip. So I hope you're feeling the weight that I felt this week. Gossip is so easy to do. I think it's everywhere. I caught myself gossiping last Sunday. Let me tell you, I'm not just talking to you, I'm pointing to myself as well. I went home and reflected on a conversation I had, which was a fun conversation, myself and this other guy, not from this congregation. We were laughing together. He told me a story about something that had gone on, and then I kind of trumped his story with something bigger and better about some people, not in this church, from outside this church, who had a certain way of operating as they went about life. And then I went home and I thought, would I have said that to him if those people were there in that conversation? No, I wouldn't have. Not at all. And I thought, wow, that's how easy gossip is to do. I was just doing it because I wanted us to be entertained. I wanted to entertain him and be accepted in the conversation. But I did a grievous harm to those other people who didn't have a chance to defend themselves. So what can we do? If it's so serious and it's so common, what can we do? Here's the last question, and I've got three things. Firstly, we need to seek forgiveness. Gossip is sin, and it's very damaging, and we've probably all done it, even like me last week. Thankfully, forgiveness is available. Jesus died for gossips like me and like you. He did. And so if this sermon has convicted you in any way of your own sin, then, or reminded you of something that you've done in the past that really betrayed someone and separated friends or whatever, then please go to God and seek his forgiveness. It's on offer. You also may need to go to the person you've gossiped to or gossiped about and seek their forgiveness to restore that relationship too. The second thing is to stop gossiping. This is pretty obvious, isn't it? But it needs to be said. We have to work at not gossiping. It's so damaging. It's part of the sin that we're called to put to death in our lives. I've got some thoughts for you on how to do it. First, we need to be alert and aware and learn to recognise it, hopefully before it happens, when it's about to happen, rather than when you've just done it. You could ask yourself the questions that arise from the definition I put up before. Does this, what I'm about to say, paint someone in a bad light? Or is it really their story to tell, not mine? If they were here, would I say what I'm about to say? Does the person I'm speaking to really need to know what I'm about to say? If you think that what you're about to say falls into the category of gossip, or if you're not sure, then don't say it. Keep your mouth shut. That's what's loving in that situation. Second, there might be some people or situations where you know that you need to be especially on guard about gossip because you know that it's likely that you're going to either hear and crave the tasty food that someone is going to give to you. You know that you're talking to a gossip, so you're going to think, I've got to be wary here and not let it happen. Or maybe somewhere where you're likely to be a gossip. If, as I said, they're keen to gossip to you, then it's likely that they'll be ready to gossip about you. So it's just being wise to be very careful what you say to that person. It might be in a group where everyone's grumbling or complaining about something. Does that ever happen to you? You sit in a group like that? That's the time you're likely to gossip, isn't it? Or maybe in closer to home, in our growth groups. We need to be really careful, don't we? We encourage sharing with each other so that we can pray for each other. And that's a good and right thing if we're sharing about ourselves in the room. But we need to be really careful if we're sharing about someone who's not in the room, whether they're a member of the group or not. We need to be really careful about that point. And if someone does share something in the group about themselves, if someone says, I'm really struggling with this sin, boy, it's going to wreck the group if it comes back to them that you shared that prayer point with someone else in another group. We need to let what's said in the group stay in that group. Other people don't need to know. And one other tip here about how to stop gossiping is rather than just thinking of the negative, I want to stop gossiping, think of the positive. Instead of saying things that are going to tear people down, here's what the Apostle Paul says. No foul language. He's not just talking about swearing. I think he's talking about all kinds of damaging talk should come from your mouth, but only what is good for building up someone in need so that it gives grace to those who hear. Can you be in a conversation without gossiping? That's a good thing to practice, isn't it? Talking people up, saying what's good and helpful. Gossip will always be damaging to the person you're talking to and the people you're talking about. It's like your mum probably used to tell you, if you can't say anything good, don't say anything at all. Do you remember that? That's pretty much what I'm saying to you tonight. But the last thing that I want to say is, as we think about how to respond to this, is to be a circuit breaker. You know what a circuit breaker is, don't you? It's in your power board in your house. If there's short happens, just say you stick a knife into a PowerPoint or something. Don't do this at home. Don't test it out. But there should be a switch in there that will automatically switch off all of the power so that you don't get electrocuted. So damage is stopped. That's what we need to be in the church. We need to be gossip circuit breakers so that the damage is stopped. How can you do that? Well, at the very start, you've got to make sure that it doesn't go beyond you. If you hear some gossip, make sure that you are a dead end. To change my analogy there. Don't pass it on to anybody else. Otherwise, you're not being a circuit breaker. You're just fueling the fire of conflict or of gossip, building the culture. But also, maybe you can be a circuit breaker in other ways. Maybe if you're in a conversation and you're aware that there's gossip happening, then maybe you can change the conversation. Maybe you can be the one who actually, if you not just redirects the conversation, but calls it out. I've been in conversations where somebody has said, look, I really don't think it's helpful for us to be speaking about this person like this. And it's been a bit of an awkward moment, a bit of a clangor into the conversation, as you can imagine. But boy, I'm thankful that that person had the courage to say that, because it's stopping us all from sinning and doing damage, do you see? That person is so loving. And that's what we're called to be, isn't it? It's not loving to stay silent and let gossip happen and damage happen without doing anything. But it's super loving to call it out when it's happening. So, we're thinking about gossip tonight. Let's work hard to be wise. To be wise, not fools. People who gossip and don't worry about it are fools because they're bringing untold damage and they're sinning.